Hey you guys, it's Amy Gretchen, and yes, it looks a little bit different here because I am outside and not in my studio, but today I'm going on a little adventure and I thought you guys would want to come along with me. All right, so that actually took a lot longer than I thought. I feel like I definitely learned a lot from that experience. And of course it was totally magical. Immediately I was like, I want one of these machines so badly. But it was really cool to kind of get a firsthand look at it. And like I said, it took longer than I thought. That was 3 hours that I was in there. I thought maybe I'd be there for an hour and a half. I was coming out to my car hoping I don't have a ticket, and I do not have a ticket because I did not put enough time on my meter. But yeah, anyway, I can't wait to show you once I get to my house what everything looks like. All right, you guys, so I'm back in my studio and I'm excited to show you all the things that I was working on. So you had a sneak peek with some of those videos of me cutting out some numbers, and you can imagine what they're for. However, the main reason that I wanted to go and work on the Glowforge or use the Glowforge was to create an album. So this year in my December daily, I'm going to be doing the size 4 by 5.5. So I really love this size. I was considering a 4 by 4, but then I thought, you know what, I think I would really like it to have a little bit more height. So I decided to do the size, which is basically the front of an A2 size card. And I thought it would kind of mimic a 6 by 8, just kind of shrink everything down a little bit smaller. And it would allow me to use some of my card supplies, embossing folders, and things like that. And I really wanted to kind of simplify this year. I feel like I just want to tell one story and have one photo and then be able to play with a few embellishments and stuff like that. So I decided to go small. I know a lot of you are going a little bit bigger with doing the 10 by 8 album, which I think is amazing. And I'm kind of jealous of that when I see you guys working on that and you've got like large photos. I think that'll be so fun to work on. But I just had this need to go a little bit smaller. And I have this feeling that I'm really gonna love this size. I think maybe I'll have to try the 4 by 4 size sometime as well. Let's jump to my desk. I want to show you the albums that I was working on. So I have got 2 albums here. Well, not necessarily 2 albums, but I guess it's 2 designs. And I just wasn't sure what I wanted. And so I just decided I would do both and then I would decide later. And then I could always use one for another project. So I have this red acrylic and I've got 3 different, I guess, covers here. I've got one, well, let me just show you. I've got one that's just plain. And then I have one that's got a cutout, and my idea or my thought was I would then like have it cut out so the number would be showing through, or I could use the white one here. Kind of depended what was going to be on the underside. And then I've got one that says December. Now, I don't know if you can actually see this. Let me see if I can get this into the camera. Okay, you can kind of see it with that light hitting it. It is very, very faint. I thought this would look a little bit better. What I needed is for this font to be thicker. The font was just not thick enough to really get a good impression. So it doesn't show up as well on the red. It does show up better on the clear. So then I also did this with a clear matte. So it kind of got a matte finish. Again, you can see with the cutout. So I'm thinking that I would put the 21. And I'm kind of leaning towards this because I like the idea of being able to see through and then having the 21. And then this one is the same. Now it's kind of hard to see on screen. This one is just plain. It's kind of hard to see on screen, but it definitely shows up better. There we go. I guess what you needed was something to be on the back of it. It definitely shows up better when it's got something behind it. So these are, like I said, 4 inches by 5.5 inches. And I'm excited. Like I said, I'm leaning towards this one right here, or maybe this one, because I think it will look really cool, because it does say 2021 on it. So I wouldn't be able to use this any other year, but I am kind of leaning towards this. Now I only did a couple of numbers. You saw that I did the number 24, because I used it on my 2020 album, and this is how I created it. And then I did only a few numbers. I think I have the number 22 in case I end up doing something like this next year. I wanted the number 22, and I think those are still outside. So one thing that I will say about the Glowforge and about using some of these products is they smell. So acrylic smells it smells like chemicals. I didn't think it was so bad as it was cutting it out, but when I was taking it home, I felt like it was really, really smelly. And what I've noticed was the smell was coming from the paper. So once you take the paper off, these did not smell at all. This actually didn't smell. It was just the paper kind of had that smell on it. So if you can take the paper off right away, then it will look really good. I actually wanted to do a reveal, but I was like, no, I don't want to smell it. So I ended up taking the paper off outside, and then I didn't have a problem. So I don't have all of the numbers. Some of the numbers are still outside, and I didn't take the adhesive off of them. The other thing that I did, and I actually can still smell this. So I have it on some paper, and I can still smell these are definitely still burnt. They have a burned wood smell, which is definitely not as bad as chemicals. So it's not as bad, but there is a layer of tape on there that I wanted to take off. And so I thought maybe as we are chatting about these albums that I would take them off. So I just want to tell you a little bit about the Glowforge while I'm doing this. So, well, first let me show you these numbers I created in, I don't know, Illustrator. I guess I created them in Illustrator. And I definitely got this style from Ali Edwards. So she had some numbers like this in, I think it was her 2015 kit. Maybe 2015, it could have been 2014. I'm trying to remember. I think the first year I did it was 2015, and I think it was 2014 that she had them available. And I loved them so much, and I was always so bummed. I've always meant to ask her, like, could you bring those back for all of us who are, now doing December Daily, because they're such a fun design. But when I knew that I had the opportunity to use this Glowforge, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to cut my own numbers. And I decided to do wood for a couple of reasons. The acrylic, these are really thick. This is 1/8 of an inch thick. And so I thought this would just be too thick in an album where, I'm using rings. So I just felt like this would add a lot of bulk if I was using a bunch of these numbers. And so I decided to do the wood, and the wood that I purchased, I think I just got it from Amazon. Like, if you're interested, I can link it. It's a 1/16 inch wood. So you can see it up next to the acrylic. Maybe I'll get closer so you can see. It's definitely half the size. So I felt like this would be a really good option for my album. And I won't be using them on every page, but I will be using them on some of the pages. I thought that wood would be awesome because then I could paint it and I could do it white, I could do it red, I could do it any color I wanted. I could also emboss on it. I could do some, glitter. I could do some red emboss or like some, I think I have some green. I know I have some red glitter, but I think I have some green glitter emboss as well. And I do have some gold glittery embossing powder, so I could do that. So I love the versatility of the wood. Not only is it thin, but I can use it on a variety of different things. So this one actually, this one got ruined. I bumped the machine and it stopped. And then when it restarted, it didn't get exactly right. So I do have two of those. I'll have to find the correct one. So one thing that I realized too is you want to make sure that you have the correct tape, and you definitely want to have tape on your wood and your acrylic, but you want to have tape on your wood and you want to make sure it's really good tape. They had Scotch tape that I used, but the tape that I got from Amazon was really bad. It was peeling up and it actually like caused a fire at one point. This is also something I learned about the Glowforge is the Glowforge is really intense. Like this is not just like a fun silhouette tool. Like there's a lot that goes into the Glowforge. You have to baby it, you have to clean it, you have to pay attention to it. So that was another thing that I realized is, this is a machine that I want. It's something that I've been looking at for a little over a year, wanting to purchase. But, I've been trying to justify that purchase. And now that I've actually used one, I'm a little hesitant because I feel like it's so involved. And I don't know that it's that the learning curve would be so high, but I just felt like there was a lot of pieces that would kind of keep me from getting it in that, like, I don't really have a great place to put it. And I know that it's got to have some really good venting. So maybe when I move, I would have a good place to put it. But I have read a lot of things about it smelling, and I don't necessarily want it to smell at my house. So then I'm thinking, do I put it in the garage? But when you're cutting things out, you really have to baby this machine. Like there was at one point, because of the heat, even with the acrylic, it started a fire. Like a fire was kind of coming off of, and not a bad fire, but like there was a fire coming off of the laser as it was hitting down. And so this is definitely a machine that you cannot walk away from, like you could, let's say, the Silhouette. So that's another thing that, I'm kind of thinking about in terms of whether or not I actually want to try and invest in one of these machines. But you guys, I can't even tell you how excited I am for this option that I can potentially just go and use it at the library, create something, design something, and use it at the library. Now, this isn't something I would be able to do as a business. I was there for 3 hours just doing these and just doing these. However, I do have some white ones that didn't necessarily work out. I should show you that. I have the white ones that I did, but I was really bummed because, let's see, you can kind of see it here. It burned and it scorched it. Can you see that on the side, how it's like burnt there? And I don't think that that's something I'm going to be able to get off. It did have a coating, but I guess one side of the coating was thicker than the other, and I think I put it on the wrong side because one side, if you can see, is like shiny. See if I can get it. There's one side that's shiny and then there's one side that is matte. So I think I had it on the wrong side, and so it kind of burned because the paper was a little bit too thin. So it's definitely finicky. This is what I've learned. It's definitely finicky. So if you guys are thinking about getting something like the Glowforge, I would definitely encourage you to look around and see if there is an option in your area to rent a machine. Originally, I saw that a machine was for rent at Joann's. And when I called them, they were like, oh, we are no longer, they said that it wasn't working or something like that, and it needed to be serviced. And so they weren't doing it any longer. And I was like, oh, that's such a bummer. And then they said they think that the library is doing it. And that's how I found out from Joanne. So maybe check places in your area to see if they have availability of that. The one cool thing about that library that I went to is they had a sound room for someone that wanted to record sound. They had computers to do video editing. They had Cricuts. They had really large printers for large printing. They had sewing machines. They had 3D printers. They had all kinds of stuff. It was called their Creative Lab. I had never heard of this before. I couldn't believe I had never heard of this before. So if you guys are even interested in, like, forget about the Glowforge because that is kind of like a much bigger deal. But if you guys are interested in something like, let's say the Cricut, you could go with a file and you could take it in there and you could cut it out with the Cricut. You know, you could have a bunch of files. The Cricut's definitely going to cut a lot faster than the Glowforge. So anyway, I'm just realizing all of these numbers that look a little bit lighter. You can kind of see the difference here. There actually is tape on it. So I have more tape to take off. And the only reason why I'm wearing these gloves, it's not to protect my hands, other than from the smell, because it does have a little bit of a wood burning smell. And then I thought maybe there would be some residue on the edge that would kind of make my fingers brown. And so I'm protecting my hands so they don't smell like burnt wood all day. But other than that, like these are totally safe to touch, of course. It's not that big of a deal. It's just wood. This wood that I used is birch wood. Like I said, I got it from Amazon. It was fairly inexpensive. I can't remember the exact price, but I don't think it was much. I think it came in a pack of 5 actually, and I did this with 2. So I ended up cutting 2 of these out. And a couple of them ended up getting ruined just because of, well, you know how things go. And plus I did a measurement wrong. So I was trying to like fit everything in. There's a lot of things that I learned that I would do differently the next time. And there will definitely be a next time, you guys. I'm super excited to go back in and play again. The attendant was really nice. He has to do it for you. Like, you're not able to use the machine without an attendant, but he was really nice and pretty knowledgeable, even though I felt like he didn't know the settings of my material, and that's fine. Like, I get that, like, this material was thinner than probably wood that he has seen before. And, you know, all acrylics are a little bit different. So anyways, it's too bad. Like, I think these are actually really cool. Maybe I could have done something with the tape because they actually are really cool now that I'm, you know, sticking them all together. Anyway, you guys, that is going to be it for me. Thank you so much for coming along on this little adventure. And I would love to hear in the comments section below what you think about my vlog and if you would like to see more of these videos from me. I know I have a lot to learn when it comes to taking video footage, but that's definitely something that I can learn along the way. But let me know if you would like to see more of me on the outside or just more of what I'm doing in my studio in this format. So thank you guys again for being here, and I hope that you will check out your library and see what is available to you. All right, we'll see you in the next one. Bye.